Welcome back to Mind Portfolio Lab. This is the next video in the individual EA overview series. In the previous videos, I looked at a previous day level component and then a structure-based component. In this video, I'm moving on to another system in the portfolio, which I'm going to describe at a high level as a session-based EA. Internally, this is the EA I refer to as DIBS. As always, I'm going to keep this deliberately high level. I will not be sharing source code, exact settings, exact entry rules, filters, stop logic, target logic, or trade management rules. The aim is not to give away the system or provide trade signals. The aim is to explain what role this EA plays in the wider portfolio, what type of behavior it is designed around, and what I monitor over time. At portfolio level, this EA gives me exposure to session and day open behavior. What I mean by that is that it is interested in how price behaves after a defined part of the trading day begins. Markets do not behave the same way at every point in the day. Some periods can bring more activity, more volume, more volatility, or clearer directional movement. This EA is designed around that kind of behavior. I am deliberately not going into the exact timing, filters, or trigger logic, because those details are part of the system itself. But broadly speaking, this is a session-based component rather than a purely daily level or structure-only strategy. The reason that matters is because it gives the portfolio a different rhythm. The previous day level EA is built around daily reference levels. The structure-based EA is built around how price interacts with market structure. This EA adds a different idea, behavior around a defined trading window. That helps at portfolio level because I do not want every EA depending on the same market feature. If all systems are just different versions of the same idea, then the portfolio is not really diversified. It may look diversified, but the risk is still concentrated. So the question I ask is not just whether a system has a good backtest. I also ask whether it adds a different type of behavior. This EA is designed to capture movement when market conditions around the session framework are suitable. That does not mean it trades perfectly. It does not mean every session produces a good setup. And it does not mean the market will follow through just because a session has opened. It simply means the EA is built to observe a defined market window and respond when its rules are met. That is the kind of structure I want from an automated system. The system can perform better when price begins to move clearly after the session framework forms. If the market develops direction, has enough volatility, and does not immediately reverse, this type of EA has a better chance of doing what it is designed to do. It can also be useful when the market gives the trade room to develop. A session-based system still needs movement. If price stays flat or constantly changes direction, the setup becomes much harder. Where it can struggle is in whipsaw conditions. If price moves one way, then immediately reverses, then turns again, that can be difficult. Low volatility days can also be a problem, because there may not be enough movement after the setup appears. Sudden news spikes can also distort normal session behavior. So again, this is not a system that should be judged trade by trade. A single win does not prove it works. A single loss does not mean it is broken. The better question is whether, over a meaningful sample, the system behaves in a way that makes sense and contributes something different to the wider portfolio. The uploaded backtest is useful here, but I am not treating it as proof. It gives me context about the system's character. In this test, the EA has a smaller trade sample than some systems, with 87 trades. The win rate is 35.63%. The average position holding time is around 14 hours 15 minutes and 16 seconds, and the maximum holding time is around 145 hours. Those numbers matter because they tell me something about the behavior of the system. Even though this is a session-based EA, it is not always a very short hold system. Some trades can remain open well beyond the initial session, so the risk profile includes overnight and potentially multi-day exposure. That is important. Session-based does not automatically mean low risk. It means the setup is tied to a specific market window. The trade can still develop over a longer period depending on the rules of the system and the behavior of the market. So when I look at this EA, I am interested in more than whether the backtest made money. I want to understand how often it trades, how long it holds, what the drawdown looks like, and whether the live behavior remains recognizable compared with the tested profile. At portfolio level, the role of this EA is to add a session and day open behavior component. It is not trying to do the same thing as the previous day level EA. It is not the same as the structure-based EA. It gives the portfolio another source of potential return and another type of risk. That is the important point. Each EA needs a reason for being in the portfolio. This one is there because session behavior is different from pure level behavior or broader structure behavior. When I monitor it live, there are a few things I care about most. First, is it still taking the kind of session-based trades I expect? Second, are the losing periods within a normal range for the system? Third, does the live holding time remain broadly recognizable? Fourth, Is it contributing something different from the rest of the portfolio? And fifth, is it becoming too correlated with other systems during drawdown? Those are the questions that matter more than any individual trade. I do not want to react emotionally to one outcome. I want to judge the EA by its behavior over time and by whether it still has a clear role in the portfolio. So, to summarize, this EA is a session-based component in the portfolio. It is designed around behavior during a defined part of the trading day. It has a different rhythm from the previous EA videos, a different holding profile, and a different role within the portfolio. The backtest is encouraging, but I am not treating it as proof. I am using it to understand the system's character and to decide what I need to monitor live. For me, that is the key point. This is not about finding one perfect EA. It is about building a portfolio where each system has a reason for being included. In the next video, I'll move on to another EA and go through the same process. What it is designed to capture, when it may perform better, when it may struggle, and why it belongs in the wider portfolio.